Welcome back to Community Garden, the platform that connects the dots with dope individuals that are planting seeds today for brighter, more fruitful tomorrows. Today, as always, we're here at Plant People in West Philly, connecting the dots with an amazing individual. Okay, this person that we have in the garden today is a poet. Okay, she's a mother. She's creative. This person here is invested into who she is and what she do. And in all, she's invested into what she puts out into the world. So today, who we have in the community garden is Indea Hoffman.
And that's kind of like super hot water.
I'm into it. Yeah, the team mandated to do all the things that we do. Alright, so look, this raw and uncut. We're gonna keep this too.
Yes.
We're gonna let them
We're
see.
gonna keep this.
Us
we want you guys
improvising.
to see all of this.
You know what I mean? Alright, cool. So I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right. I know every time I do pronounce it, it's a little bit different from India.
Indea.
Indea. Don't play yourself. It's Indea. Okay?
Indea.
Alright? So Indea, welcome back to the community garden.
You.
We was here before. When we did our other interview, we was at the end, like the final leg of that period of my interviewing.
Yes.
And I was a little burnt out. The space was a little burnt out, and I didn't feel like you got the best experience.
Yeah.
Right? And I was a little hard on myself, but to be fair, you're an amazing talent.
Thank you.
So I wanted you to get all that you're supposed to get in this space. So, it's incredible to have you back here now and playing people. How does it feel this time around?
I love the vibe with the plants. It's amazing. I love it.
Yeah?
I love it.
Do you go plant shopping often? Have you been plant shopping?
Yes, I'm actually a plant person. I love nature. I respect plants, so I'm in my element right now.
Yeah?
Yes.
It feels great, don't
Yes.
it? I think that's why I'm so excited to do this thing this way. And why it was so important for me to have you here was because this experience is, I believe, being in a plant shop is an experience I think everybody should have.
Right.
And now that I get to bring people into this space, I take it very seriously. So I'm glad that this space speaks to you.
It does.
And who you've been. But you've had plants before,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Would you call yourself a green thumber? Would you call yourself...
I would.
You would a little bit. All right. Look, so we got somebody that's not new to this. She's true to this in the garden today. So Indea, obviously, as I stated before, we did an interview before. But let's act like we have it.
Okay, sure.
All right.
Yes.
We're gonna take it from the top, bring it back, and then take it over there, and then do the whole flip and the reverse it and all that. All right. So while our tea is marinating, this one here is for you guys. After it's done, we'll make sure to give you guys a cup. Okay. But right now we're gonna let it marinate.
Yes.
So. Yeah, for the whole community. Alright, so Indea, tell me about, I want to know, we can really just jump right into it.
Let's go.
Let's talk about this beautiful book.
Yes.
Because, obviously, I want to go back to figure out how do we get to a place where we're putting out a physical book of our work.
Right.
I want to learn about that part. But I want to talk about where you are right now, right?
Yes.
You wrote this book. It took you some time to write this book. Give us the process that led to this.
Okay. So for me, it was releasing the project. I kept it all up in here, and I had to stop fighting with my inner thoughts. Indea, release the book. This book is not for you. It's for the people. If you want to be a blessing in its entirety, you have to help the people by releasing this book, which is going to minister to them. For me, poetry is a ministry, and I had to do it, and so here it is.
Wow. Look, man, look. I'm gonna put out clips. I'm gonna add a clip here of our first time and me going through this book. First of all, let's keep it a buck. This ain't nothing to play with. Y'all see? Look, let me show you this again. Y'all see that standing on its own? It literally stands on its own. This is a hard book right here. A hardback book. The cover is beautiful. This is you. Let's talk about this cover because it's a little controversial.
It is. So my father was not prepared for the cover of the book. I would say it was very intimate. I didn't want to shortchange the theme of the book.
Sure.
So when you're on a soul searching journey, you have to be bare. You have to be naked, and it's private. That's not always a beautiful experience, but I wanted to give the people something that was very sacred to me. And I'm like, okay, when you're trying to better yourself, you have to take off all the layers, and them layers are going to expose what you don't want people to see.
Wow.
And so this represents that. I'm naked. I'm trying to become my highest version.
Wow.
Yes.
Golly, how? Okay, that's a phenomenal explanation. I know, clap for that. See, she a poet. She just spoke some poetry for y'all for the free. Listen. So, now it's time for the jokes. All right, so look. We was going through the book before. First of all, the book is beautiful, right? This is a hardback book. She invested a lot of not only mental space.
Yes, I did.
Physical resources into this book, okay? This book is out right now. You can have this book. She sells this book. All right. So, first and foremost, let's go to some of my favorite poems from last time. I'm gonna read y'all a poem. Last time I read a poem, and I chose the wrong poem because we was talking about some deep stuff, and then we got into some deep stuff into this book, and like the other deep stuff. But so, yeah, let me. Nope, I'm not gonna do passion marks. That was the one that we got lost in last time. All right, so we have in this book a lot of different poems, right?
Yes.
So I'm curious, with all these poems, which one do you feel like in this day and age now? Because obviously this took a lot of time to create. In this time, which poem do you most resonate with? And there's a lot of poem. I know that was a loaded question. I'm sorry. Was that too loaded? That was a lot.
Okay, so resonating with it is one aspect, or the poem that I feel is most conducive to the environment that we're living in. I would say that will be Black Genocide.
All right. Okay. So, would you like to read that to us?
Okay. So I'll.
All right. So it's not a joke. This is a serious poem.
Okay.
All right. So
let me know when you get here.
Yeah, I know what was up here. Oh, so in case you want to figure out how to get there, look, there's a table of content. So we can go through the table of content. All right. Look, this table of content is intense. The second one is. All right. So here we is. Okay. So firstly, your poetry ain't free. I'm not by. Let's take it back.
Okay.
I'm not about to just get your free service for these people like that. Y'all gonna have to get the book.
You should.
All right, you got to get the book.
Yes.
But just in terms of the table of contents, there's a bunch of different chapters, if you will, here in this book, right? So we have everything from
Insecure, Entanglements.
Right? We also have
and Blackish.
Yes. Okay, so why was these three titles important for this book?
So Entanglements, we know the infamous red table talk between Will and Jada, and then I wanted to pick titles of chapters that would hook my audience, something that was relevant, and so that's where I got that from. Blackish, of course, the TV show.
It's a good show.
And Insecure, the TV show.
That's a great show.
So yeah, I wanted to hook my readers.
Wow, so very Black, right? It's like, I think this is speaking to multiple generations. Insecure, I think, obviously is the generation of like the 20-year-olds, the early 30s, maybe young professional individuals trying to figure out their thing. And then you also have the other, the Blackish, which is kind of all of our stories in many ways, especially for me. I'm African, born in Africa, so I'm kind of in the middle. A lot of us is trying to figure out what our Blackness mean. And then also Entanglement, you know, we all know it. We all done been there. I ain't there no more, but we all done been there. So it makes sense. I think it's speaking to a bunch of different individuals in a bunch of different spaces, which is really great because, like you said, this is about you bearing your soul and being able to reach as many different ears as possible because your art it deserves to be spread around the world. And I'm really proud of you. I said it before, but I'm really proud that you've came this far to where you trust and believe in your craft enough to not only put it out, but say, hey, this shit ain't free. I've done enough for your niggas.
Yes.
And that takes a lot of work, internal work, right?
It does.
So what was that work that got you to a place where you feel comfortable putting your work out and also saying, this is worth something?
So whenever you go to like an art gallery, right? You go into, the art gallery and you see beautiful paintings, right? Some hundreds and thousands of dollars, and they're really expensive. One could be like $5,000. So if you're an artsy person, that's nothing for you because you respect the art,
in it.
you know? So with my book, I knew that this is my intellectual property. And to me, I know that it's brilliant. Perhaps it's ahead of its time. My craft is unlike anyone else's. Of course, everyone thinks that they're a poet until a poet comes in the room. But I stand on my own merit. And the price of the book is $100.
Straight up.
And some people, they're like offended. And I'm like, well, you talk your stuff, I talk mine. I know what I'm working with. Because if this was Gucci, that would be a discount. So, yes.
Okay.
Yes. My book is $100 because I put that work into it. So, yes.
Straight up. And that's it. And you know what? Our value is only what we see it to be.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And the people who are aligned with who we are and what we're doing, what we're putting out into the world, those are the people who deserve to have this book anyway.
Yes.
Those who are questioning and trying to bargain, maybe they're not quite there yet. And that's okay too, because the book is still available. So when they are ready, the resource is still there for them to receive.
Yes.
And that's a beautiful thing, Indea.
Thank you.
All right? Okay. So I think our tea been marinating a little bit. We're going to take a quick plant break. Come back, drink some phenomenal tea, and let's talk about the backstory. Let's talk about how we get to this point.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
Cool. We're back again here at Playing People with Indea Hoffman. Don't play yourself. It's Indea. All right? And today, of course, we're talking about your journey, right? We talked about this beautiful book before the break and how it came to be. But I'm intrigued about how you came to be. I mean, not your birth. We ain't got to go that far back.
TMI.
Right. We ain't got to do all that. But how the person that you are now, the evolution of Indea, right? I would love to hear that. But before we do, can I offer you a cup of tea?
Thank you.
Yes?
Yes.
All right. Let's do it. So, you picked out relaxing on the waters.
This looks good.
All right. It's a little hot. I'm gonna pour you guys up a cup also. Okay. And it's hot, okay? Don't burn yourself. There you go. Good time, take your time. Alright, Indea.
Yes.
We're gonna toast up.
Okay.
Thank you for coming on to the community garden. Alright. I'm excited for you to be here and share your story with us. Alright, so what's up? Yeah, peppermint.
That's good.
Yeah,
It's really good. It's hot.
It's hot. I told y'all. Do not sue me. I already told y'all. Gave y'all the heads up. There was this very clear disclaimer. Indea, tell me about upbringing, right? Are you a Philly native? How?
Okay.
Like, how did you get to Philadelphia? What's the situation?
Yes. So I am born and raised in Philadelphia. I've lived in Westchester, Pennsylvania, and also Delaware. So I went to the first HBCU, Cheney University.
All right, Cheney. All right, Cheney.
And I relocated back to Philly about maybe like 10 years ago.
Okay.
Yes.
So you raised in Philly.
Mm-hmm.
What part of Philly?
North Philadelphia.
North?
Yes.
From north. Up north?
Yes.
All right. So how was growing up in North Philly the time that you came up? Like, was it like very community oriented? What was that time in Philadelphia, and how did that affect kind of your your upbringing, like how did that?
My upbringing, I believe, was I had a healthy and decent overall upbringing. It was structured compared to what other children experience. I grew up with rich in culture. I was exposed to the arts. I was an African dance, a tap dancer. I played the clarinet. I was in poetry, so my mother kept me very active, extremely active.
Wow, that's incredible. So you was just like an artsy kid.
Yes.
Your parents was artsy.
My mother, Kame, she played the bass guitar. So
she used to make bass.
Yes.
That joint, man.
Yes.
The bass is such a soulful instrument.
Yes.
I feel like.
Yes.
So she was probably a woman with a lot of soul, right?
A lot of spunk.
A lot of spunk.
Yes.
All right. So with all of that, and now you're growing up in an environment where you have access to all these arts and all these resources. Was there something that you really took a liking to early on? Was it poetry? Was it tap dance? Was it like, what did you really remember, like your first time really enjoying art? What was it?
I loved African dance. I love the sound of the drums, the bass, the loudness of it. I love to see the men with their bare hands beat on the drum, and I just felt connected to it. I did poetry since I was 8 years old. I didn't necessarily know it was poetry until my mother was like, this is poetry. And I never wanted to share my poetry until I got older. So I've been doing poetry since I was a little girl.
Wow. So what was you just doing? Journal entries? What was it to you when you was doing it?
So I come from a large family. So when they would come over for the holidays, I would start singing and poetry and put on a show for everyone, get dressed up. And so that's where it came from.
Now was your mama saying, get up and do the little dance?
No.
Or was you actively wanting to perform?
I wanted to. I wanted to. It was something that I felt like this is going to enliven the party or whatever. And he loved it. Okay, I made that gorilla care. And he loved it.
Really?
Yes.
So performing is like your first love?
You could say that.
Yeah?
I enjoy it.
So with performing being something that is a huge part of poetry, in this space and time now, or not even this space now, when was because if you just started sharing your poetry, when was it when you actually touched stage and actually shared just your poetry to like an audience?
I would say I had to be in high school. There was a program called the Gear Up program where all the Philly high schools had a poetry competition. And I was like, I'm not going to enter. And my mom was like, you should do it. I believe in you. And I won. I won Poet Laureate for the School Board of Education.
Okay.
And I did it. I mean, Channel 6 was there. It was a real big thing in the community. And I was like, okay. I just went up there, did my thing, and sat back down and enjoyed the show.
Wow.
Yeah.
How was that experience? Was you anxious? Was you...
Of course. Every time I perform, there's a sense of anxiety. So I'm not going to sit here and say, every time I go on stage, I'm not nervous. I am.
It's a part of it.
Exactly. But I push past that because the message that I'm sharing is not for me. It's to minister and help someone in the audience. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so, because you said this phrase of ministering your poetry to the audience, to the listeners. You've said it multiple times now, so it sounds like it's coming from a very rooted place. At what point did you realize that you was ministering and not just writing poems and not just touching stage and performing? When did it become a ministry?
I would equate it to ministry when, as a child growing up in church, you would see the minister when he's about to, bring the sermon home, and then people start dancing, and the louder he got,
it's like the highest peak of the sermon.
Exactly. And then after that, he would have the altar call where people who wanted to,
give themselves
to God,
right.
They would, come to the altar, and it worked. So I just kind of put them together and said, okay, well, it's ministry. I'm trying to help people. I really don't do it for like attention, but everyone doesn't have the same intentions that I do behind poetry.
Sure.
So it's like we're just not the same.
So where are you trying to get your people to? The people that support you, the people that listen and love your poetry and get this book. The people that support you, what's the destination that you're trying to help them get to?
They should want to become their highest, best version. And that's not an easy task. We live in a world filled with fake folks. They fake woke, they fake this, they fake that. So a lot of times, as individuals, we want people to like us. We want people to love us. They don't even like themselves. They don't even love themselves. So how can you want to join any type of communion or relationship with an individual who don't even like themselves? You have to be on your own merit. You have to start your own soul-searching journey, and it starts within. It's very difficult. You know, for example, in high school, I went natural, right? So under this, I have long, natural, bushy hair. Like, so at a young age, I wanted to start my own personal journey, because you cannot run from yourself. No matter how much you try to put on the fake, God knows you and you know you.
Yeah.
Regardless if you're putting on so many masks in front of people, you cannot fake it for too long. Somebody that has spiritual discernment is going to seek you out and know that you're a fraud. I say all that to say, in high school, I wanted to go on this natural journey. And my hair, it was processed, it was permed. I had long hair. And I was like, you know what? I can do this. And I did. I went to school with a hair wrap on my head, and no one ever saw me with a hair wrap on my head. And I was like, you know, it took a week for me to take it off, because mind you, my hair was down here, and then my natural hair was like this, and I embraced my natural beauty. You know what I mean? And I loved it, and I wanted to find out more about myself.
Who you are.
The good, the bad, and then work on myself. That's how I can be a blessing to others.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a quote that says, no matter where you go, there you are.
Thanks.
It's like you can't run from yourself. You can't really run from the journey of exploration, because it's going to continue to call to you. No matter where you are, your higher self is going to call to you, and I think that's why a lot of people live with like resentment for the world, live a very miserable life. Is because that calling never stopped calling them, and every time they see something, a person who is living in their truth, pursuing their higher self, is very daunting.
It is.
It's very daunting. And I align with that mission and that understanding that, like, it's very important that you find yourself, that you discover yourself.
Exactly.
And I applaud you for doing that work, for doing that ministry. I think so. Essentially, what I'm hearing is like this book here is essentially with your journey of self-discovery. These are some of the poems, some of the expressions that come from it.
Exactly.
And you're projecting it out into the world to help, not necessarily for somebody to take and be like, oh, this is my story, but to understand that there is a process.
Always.
This is my process.
Exactly.
And you can have a process also.
Exactly.
And that's really, really, really cool.
Thank you.
It's really cool. Yo, you see how the sun is kissing me? Y'all see this?
It's bright as hell.
It's bright as heck, right? Look, man, I'm a tourist, so I'm down to earth, and I'm really, really natural and spiritual and all that stuff. I'm also very materialistic, so I care about looking beautiful. I look good, yo. All right, cool. So, India, it's not about me looking good. Obviously, I look good.
It's getting worse.
You said what?
It's getting worse. Can you like sit back just a little bit?
Yeah, because this sun is really. You try to dim my light, bro.
All right.
What you on, bro?
Are you comfortable though?
Yeah, I'm cool, bro.
Yeah.
I can't run from it. There's someone to kiss me. What am I supposed to do? All right, look. So, I think we have better picture of how you are the way that you are, right? It really does sound like you're somebody who's been rooted in creativity and self-expression. So it's inevitable. Word of the day, word of the week, inevitable. That you would get to a point where you're pursuing yourself on an active basis, where you're pursuing what it means to be a creator, really, because in regards to performing, in regards to the arts and all the things that you was exposed to, it all is based on creativity, being a creator of that moment, of that thing, and projected that into the world. It's inevitable that you will be in a space where you're creating.
Yes.
And you're putting things out into the world.
Yes.
What does it mean to you to be a creative?
For me, to be a creator is the essence of life. Every day I'm creating. It says in a good book that you have the power of life and death is in the power of the tongue. And spoken word is creation.
That's life.
Yeah.
It can be like that.
Exactly. Yes.
Wow. Okay, so in the spirit of creating, right? Let's sit back for a second, and let's travel into the future, right? Let's go into the future. Let's say 5 years from now.
Okay.
Okay. What are we creating now, and what are we gonna reap in 5 years? Ooh, that's a good joke. Look, sometimes look,
I like that.
I'm getting better at this thing. No, I'm kidding. No, I take a look, man.
5 years.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Well, what are you working on right now?
Yes.
And why are you working on it? Where are you taking it?
I would love for my poetry to be similar to, and I don't want to use this loosely. You know when Michael Jackson, when he did his video, when he did his videos, it was like a movie, right? It was entertaining, right? But it was a message behind it. My poetry is like that. When I'm going to different open mics and I'm in an audience, sometimes I don't even want to perform. I'm there for a reason. I'm observant. I'm soaking in everything, right? I'm not necessarily attending the open mics to perform. I want to go and be in the audience and listen, observe. So, right, I say all that. If I'm paying to come see you perform, there's certain things I expect from the poet, right? I don't think everyone is a poet. Just because you can write roses are red, violets, that doesn't make you a poet, respectfully. I want you to make me feel as if I am in your poem. When I'm closing my eyes and you're reciting your poetry, I need to feel what you're saying. And so with my poetry, I want it to be a vivid illustration of the words that I'm speaking. I want it to captivate my audience through costume even. You know what I mean? I want to be able to grab the audience so that when they leave my show, they know, oh my goodness, I think I need to twerk this in my life. I felt what she was saying.
So what does that look like in 5 years?
In 5 years, I plan for it to be international, my poetry. Africa, Europe, Australia, everywhere. And even in the universities and the colleges.
Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful thing. And you deserve it. Honestly, I think anyone, specifically someone who is invested as much as you are, is going to reap a phenomenal harvest.
Yes.
Because that's just how that's the laws of nature. You know, you do put you get out what you put in.
Yes.
And if you're putting life and love and spirit into the things that you're doing, that all comes back tenfold.
Yes, I agree.
So I speak that. I'm using my tongue to speak life. No, I speak life into what you're doing, into your journey, because I know it's not easy.
It's not. It's very difficult at times. Oh my gosh, it could be a roller coaster experience because poetry is very personal for me. It's more than, going on stage to be seen. I've seen you know, some poets, it's like, okay, I get it, but what was the message behind it? Like, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. My poetry stands out. My poetry is going to bring people closer to God.
And that right there is why you are who you are. That right there is why you are on the journey that you're on. And I do applaud again. And I want to say thank you for coming on to the Community Garden. It was a pleasure to have you back. All right?
Thank you.
In community, until next time, God bless. Is that good?
Yes.
All right.
Hopefully it turned out good.
No, it turned out great.